Hi everybody, it's David Fleming here from the Toronto Realty Group, and welcome back to this week's Pick 5. Now, if you were to watch generic real estate TV shows about where people are moving to and what they're buying, they usually start with this conversation about neighborhoods. And it's funny because in all the years that I've been selling real estate, which I'm afraid to admit is 20 now, I rarely get that TV character that says, what are the great up-and-coming family areas in Toronto? And yet, last week, exactly this happened. I have clients relocating from a very rural part of the United States of America, which is literally like right out of a movie. These folks, of course, said to me, we'd like to learn more about the family areas in Toronto. Goes without saying. And yet we take this for granted. Those of us that live in Toronto, those of us that are usually searching in Toronto, we already know every single area. Now, of course, where we end up is generally shaped by price, as everything else is. But for the most part, if you were to take a step back and say, I'm parachuting into Toronto from the moon, for argument's sake, I have a family, I want to know, what are the areas that I should be looking at? Well, hey, that's today's Pick 5. So I want to do this, guys. I want to pretend for a moment like we're looking for entry level. And you can take a look at the properties that I've got here. We'll go to the table view. You can see we're starting at $1,259,000 on Wheeler. We're finishing at just shy of $1,500,000 on Marion in Roncesvalles. I didn't pick these properties based on price point. What I did was look at 5 family areas that typically my clientele are interested in at the entry level price point, and then look for entry level properties. So we'll go to the map just to say that we did. And we'll compare and contrast these offerings because I do work with a lot of, first-time home buyers, a lot of the proverbial families. I have kids myself. I can tell you typically what people are looking for. And now the map, let me get rid of the schools. Thank you very much, Realm. Okay, and now the map shows us. This is kind of in and around the central core. So I picked one on the beach, one in Danforth Village, one in Leaside, one up here in Wychwood, and then one down here in Roncesvalles. So let's start with our first one here, guys, which is 149 Wheeler. So if we were to say the beaches, that's a great area, very family friendly, absolutely. What can we get in the beaches and what is entry level? This is $1,259,000. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. It's got a bedroom in the basement. What it doesn't have is a parking space. And a lot of folks come to Toronto, and if they're coming from rural America, or hell, even if they're coming from Calgary or something, they might have a 3-car garage. The concept of not having a parking space in Toronto is so incredibly foreign to people. Also foreign to people, see this, 100+ years old. While we're not an old city compared to places in Europe, people come to Toronto and they don't realize there's a lot of really old housing stock here. So this house is a nice one. But there's probably a reason why it's $1,259,000. It's sitting and it's not selling. Feature photo, of course, is a living room. It's got a popcorn ceiling. It's got some faux brick that maybe we don't love, and it's got carpet. It's a nice house because there are so many boxes checked. But of course, there's a reason why it's not selling and why it's only $1,249,000. You have a covered front porch. I personally like these because of storage for stuff and things. If you have children, people coming to Toronto, especially those from America, they love sitting on their front porch. They don't like that. Now, once you get on the inside, you can see that ceiling is a huge eyesore. It looks like it's a little bit staged, but really this isn't staging furniture. This is a recliner. It's a Leon's No Money Miracle kind of situation. So they've cleaned it up. I wouldn't say it's the best staging. And then you get this kind of janky layout behind here. You would expect normally in an entry-level semi to have that open concept. It's not open. Then you've got your cheap laminate floor, you've got your older kitchen cabinets that look like they're painted, and you've got your older appliances. So again, I'm not knocking this. It's $1,259,000. It's been sitting on the market for 42 days. Maybe it's $1,200,000 house. This is what entry level represents in the beaches for that family that needs 3 bedrooms. Now, one more thing. Behind the kitchen here, you've got an addition. This addition looks like it's got a staircase going down. This addition is your home office. It's your +1, if you will. Outside, little backyard. It's only an 18 by 102 foot lot, but you can see here where this was probably an addition. And little patch of grass, right? What more can we ask for $1,200,000? There you go. So I think there's basement photos. Yes, no, we haven't even gone upstairs. So again, see the plaster here and see all the carpet and see the painted wood paneling. This is not a sexy house, but for the price point and to get into the beaches, this is what you're going to be looking at. And check this out here, right? You've got kind of a janky wall. It's a little bit awkward. And keep going here. right? Paneling, all the wood paneling's painted. So yeah, it needs some updating. But again, I told you we were gonna look at entry level. I didn't say we were gonna look at luxury today. So let's take a look at the outside of the house. There we are. It's nice, right? Nice aerial shot. It's a family-friendly street. And eventually, we'll go to the map here and take a look. So another thing to consider for houses like this is school district, guys. And this school district is Williamson. Now, Williamson is ranked a 7.3 out of 10 by the Fraser Institute. The better schools in terms of rankings, historically, people really like Kew Beach. That's a very popular school, and you can see, right, Williamson is right here. So Balmy Beach, down here, Balmy Beach gets a high ranking, Kew Beach gets a high ranking. So I'm not going to say that this house costs less because it's in a lesser ranked school district. But again, when I look at single family homes, when I look at entry level homes for first time buyers that are starting families, I look at school districts, I look at parks, I look at that main drag, so to speak, and then I look at transit. And so the Knock on the Beach, not the best transit. Queen Streetcar, slowly rolling all the way to the downtown core. You have great schools. This is not the most popular school. Access to the amenities. Queen Street obviously has all of the stuff that you want. Then you have Kew Gardens, you have Balmy Beach, you have the beach in general. I think it's a great house and a great offering. So the next one, guys, we're going to take a look at is 408 Milverton. And let's do this time just to say, let's start here, guys, with the map. 408 Milverton. Now, Milverton is one of those east-west streets that runs basically all the way through Danforth Village, and depending on what Treb calls this, there's Danforth Village, there's a bunch of different names for it. I'm sure Google will have different names. Oh my gosh, we zoomed all the way out. Ask me how frustrating that is. Okay, so you can see Milverton runs all the way to Woodbine, and these streets, Milverton, Glebehome, Strathmore, Queensdale, Springdale, these are the east-west crisscrossing streets that go all the way through Danforth Village from, this is Greenwood if I zoom in, you can see, Donlands. I don't know anything about real estate. So I like this area. Access to transit, great. You're right off the Danforth. Access to parks, well, let's zoom out a little bit and you can see the green spaces. You have Westland Park, you have Monarch Park, you're not too far from Withrow Park. Obviously this isn't Riverdale, walking distance. Your parks are okay. Your transit, as I said, is great. And then you've got Danforth, which is your main drag. The schools. Now this falls into Earl Beatty, which ranks a 6.1 out of 10. There are a lot of schools that are north of Danforth, south of O'Connor, between essentially Woodbine and the DVP, the area that I'm talking about. The house itself, $1,298,000, 3-bed, 2-bath. It's a semi-legal front pad parking. So now we go back to the first one that we saw on the beach and we say, okay, this has legal parking. It looks like it's a little bit bigger. Talk to me about the differences in the houses. The first one needed some TLC. This one, again, there are things you might want to change, right? People want to take out this interior freestanding wall, but it looks a little bit more polished. So it's certainly narrower in terms of this front room. As I said, you could take down that wall. You've got a bit of a popcorn effect. Maybe you don't want this big fireplace that's sitting out here because it's so narrow. You've got the closed staircase, of course, that you could open up again. You've got another freestanding wall. And then I can already see that the kitchen cabinets are showing a little bit of date here. You can paint those white. It's not a big deal. We do it all the time when we sell houses. Staging, that is. So you've got your nice little brick wall here. And again, I'm looking at footprints and I'm saying it's a great layout, it's a great flow. I have the opportunity to take down this wall here if I want. I can take down this wall here if I want. But these houses at the peak of the market, say February of 2022, these were 1415 houses. And now this thing is sitting at $1,298,000 and it's probably going to sell for less. So we get upstairs and it's going to kind of feel like the one that we just saw. We've got 3 bedrooms, we've got 1 bathroom, and they're going to look all more or less the same. A little bit different layout, a little bit different finishes, different window coverings, different level of popcorn on the ceiling. Now, what this has down in the basement is, I would say, what? Check this out. Opportunity? I mean, it's not the prettiest. It's got kind of a painted brick wall, it's got not the nicest carpet, and it's got a few bulkheads that are flying by. So yeah, I don't know, it's a half finished, right? Or maybe you call this fully finished and that's the furnace room, but that's kind of the offering. That's kind of entry level. So again, I would say if you're the buyer that's looking at this, you want the proximity to the Danforth, both for transit and for the main drag. You need parking, and I believe this one, I'm gonna skip ahead, there's your backyard. This one they took a photo. There it is. Very good for a real estate agent. Okay, they took a photo of the fact that it is legal front pad parking. And so it's a 19 by 0.58. It's almost 20 feet. It's 115 deep. 3-bed, 2-bath, $1,298,000. Okay, it still might be a little bit overpriced. So Danforth Village, I would say that if you were to take that Beaches house and put it here, you're around $1,200,000. You might be high 115. That's where prices have fallen to in the last 2 years. So take the parking space away from this if you want to, make it a bit smaller, and maybe you get sub 1.2 million. But from Danforth Village, in terms of first-time buyers in Toronto looking to raise a family, send the kids to school, access to transit, parks, and that main drag, absolutely, positively love Danforth Village. So our next one here, guys, we're gonna go into Leaside. And this one is like really entry level. So it's 242 Donley. And I wanna show you where this is because you've probably passed by this many times without really passing by it. What I mean by that is that if you're ever driving on Eglinton Avenue East, you will undoubtedly pass by here. And the houses that are on the south side of Donley, well, they back on to Eglinton. Many of them have a ridiculously long lot, falls off the back into the ravine, but you're staring out at Eglinton. Now this happens to be on, let's go to this one here. Oh, hello. This one happens to be on the north side of Donley. Oh, this is so cool. You can see our office. Do you want to see where our office is? Do you want to see where I am right now? Okay, cool. We call this here the Leaside Lake. We are right here. There you go, Bosley Toronto Realty Group. It doesn't even say Bosley Real Estate. Don't tell Kristen. But yes, it says Bosley. So that's us there. And what I meant was when I said you're going along Eglinton and you see here, these houses on Donley all back onto Eglinton. Then these ones in Thirstfield, which are beautiful, they back down into the ravine. This one happens to be on the north side. So you get the benefit of being in North Leaside, being in North Leaside School District, being walking distance to so many things. And again, don't have time for it right now. This entire area is being redeveloped for new infrastructure. But you get all those benefits, but you're not backing onto Eglinton. So this house is a massive 30-foot lot. That's a big difference when you consider we started in the beach at 18 feet. It is 135 feet deep, but it is partly finished. It has a mutual driveway, and it's only got one bathroom. So it's a 3-bedroom. I said partly finished, I meant partly finished basement, excuse me. So again, look at the size of this house. And again, you see mutual driveway. What do you get when you have two wide mutuals next to each other? A de facto private. As far as I'm concerned, that's a private driveway. So again, you've got to know, right, your product. If you looked and you said, oh, it's a mutual drive, you know, I want my own. Okay, well, two mutuals next to each other. That's the point I'm making. So on the inside, you can see nice staging. This is an estate sale, but they've cleaned it up pretty well. Basement, half finished. What more do you want in a Leaside entry-level house? Most people take down this wall, they make it open concept. Yes, you've got older trim and older flooring and older light fixtures, but this is the floor plan that you're working with. So take this house on a 30-foot lot, take out the interior freestanding walls. Again, this is probably an original kitchen. I bet these cabinets are from the 1950s. Take all of this down and renovate. I don't know what it costs, $150,000. Oh my God, there's a wall phone. Do you know anyone who has a home phone other than your mother? Well, my dad. My dad has a cordless, mind you. My mother still has the phone on the wall without call display. Remember, I'm gonna date myself. When you answered the phone, hello, but you said it as a question. Hello? Because you didn't know who was there. Yes, that's a throwback. That tells you probably who was living here. And I don't think this dates back to the time when you had rotary dial, but you know the one in the movies when you went like this? Kids today would have no idea what that even is. So the 3 bedrooms upstairs should be pretty sizable. This one looks a bit snug, but again, it's a 30-foot lot. Now down in the basement, you can really start to feel what it was like in the 1950s, 1960s. As I said, partly finished, but regardless needs an entire reno. So there again, I wasn't lying, guys. That's the dividing line between the two mutual driveways. This is effectively a private driveway. So good on them for saying in the listing that it's a mutual, because it is, but you have two massive mutuals next to each other. You've got a private. You have a massive backyard. It's 135 feet. And so with this one, all right, let me just go back here. Look at the size of this. So with this one, what am I saying? You can get into Leaside. You've got Northley School District. Now, Northley ranks an 8.2 out of 10 by the Fraser Institute. It's also home to the French Immersion Program. Great school. You've got great transit. I think the LRT is opening at some point in the next 10 years, but you've got access to Eglinton and eventually the LRT. You have great infrastructure if you walk out to Bayview. You have incredible parks. This walks out to Serena Gundy. You're connected with the entire ravine system. You go to Edward Gardens. When I was growing up, all of the sporty kids were, not sporty, but like the hockey chachi guys, we were in South Leaside, and all of like the laid back, hacky sack kicking, bicycle riding kids were in North Leaside. We're like, yeah man, I'm going to hockey practice. They're like, oh man, I'm going to ride my bike. down to Edwards Gardens and skip some stones in the ravine. True story. So that's Leaside, guys. That's an area that I always recommend, not just because I was raised there, but I do recommend it as a family area. Another one that I would highly recommend is Wychwood. So 292 Arlington. Where are we? 292 Arlington? I think Arlington Cemetery. Where is that? In the States somewhere. That was a weird reference. Okay, but if I'm defending myself here, I just put 292 Arlington and Google Maps thought that I was looking for the cemetery. So here we are. We're north of St. Clair. We're in between Bathurst and, well, Christie, I suppose. Wait for this to boot up. Oh, hello. Google's given us a aerial shot. I absolutely love that. So hello, Homewood. Homewood, you can call it Wychwood, you can call it, people also throw Cedarvale around. Regardless, we are, as I mentioned, on the north side of St. Clair. Now this is in Homewood School District. That ranks a 6.8 out of 10 by the Fraser Institute. So again, tell me Fraser Institute rankings mean nothing, or tell me you live your life by them. That is what this ranking is. You do have, along St. Clair, thriving infrastructure. Maybe it was more thriving before the streetcars, you know, put everyone out of business. Remember when that was a thing? It's true though, a lot of the restaurants did go under, sadly. But you do have the infrastructure on St. Clair. You have the transit on St. Clair, if you want to call it that. Then you get into green space. Let's zoom out here. How much green space is around here? Where's Wychwood? Where's Wychwood? Well, here's Wychwood Barns. Not a ton of green space, not a ton of parks. So the house itself, $1,399,000. I mean, okay. We just saw Leaside, that needed a ton of work, right? That was $1,349,000. We saw $1,299,000, $1,259,000 over on the east side. Now we're $1,399,000. But I'll say, look, 51 days on the market has to be a reason why. Probably the price, okay. 3-bed plus 1 2-bath. We're only at 17.54 by 102 deep. Then you've got a mutual drive, which in this case actually is a mutual drive, unlike that really awesome mutual that we found there in Leaside. So this one's a little bit more polished. Again, you don't have the covered porch that I mentioned 2 listings ago. And you get inside and you can see, yeah, a little more polished, right? They still have some of the original features. You've got the popcorn ceiling, but they've opened up the kitchen to the dining. Now, some people might say this feels like my kitchen's in my dining. I'll say this. When you look at it through here, because of these walls, yes, it looks like it's all one room. But once you get inside, it's like most other kitchens where you've got a countertop and you've got storage, maybe bar stools that separate the 2 rooms. So once again, we see a lot of these interior freestanding walls, and I'm not saying that everyone has to have everything completely, totally open concept, but I am saying that that's kind of what people want these days. So if you're looking entry level, you're saying, what kind of work would I do? Would I take a $200,000 hit, or rather, would I pay $200,000 less to have to do that work myself? Now, here's something neat. Check this out. See the fridge kind of hiding off to the side there? Your depth perception maybe is better or worse than mine. It's not really in this kitchen over here. It's kind of around the corner. It's a bit of a janky layout. And then they kind of skip it in the photos. So janky, I learned that from a client. My clients bought on Andale, and they said janky. That's the first time I heard it, and I've been using it a lot, guys. Thank you for janky. So I skipped the bedrooms. There's not a lot really to see up there. Let's get down to the basement. So yes, it's finished. We've got our bulkheads, we've got our staging stuffed, but it's more finished, let's say, than the one in Milverton, which is really just carpet and walls, right? And now we're back. Is this a basement again? Holy moly, this is such an odd layout. Yeah, okay, now we're back outside. So they didn't really show us the kitchen there, which had that neat little jog. I said neat, it was actually kind of weird. And then you've got asphalt running all the way through the back. You can't get your car back here because of that fence. Now we're going off into photos of stuff and things. So they've got Homewood School. Okay, that's interesting. St. Alphonsus Catholic School. Did you know that Treb has now banned photos that don't have anything to do with the house? True story, of course. I don't know how they're going to police that. So is there a floor plan on here? Because I want to go back to that jankiness. Oh, there's no floor plan. One more time just for good measure, guys, because there has to be a reason why this thing's not moving. Look at, oh boy. Here we go. Look at where the fridge is. See that fridge? It's behind the kitchen. So you've kind of got this jankiness. How many times can I say janky? Here's your kitchen, and then your fridge is back here. I couldn't quite figure this out earlier. There it is, right? Yeah, and now it's not there. and then they completely move on. So I'm guessing that's what's in here. So again, not the best representation, and I'll be honest, guys, I was doing my e-newsletter earlier today, and I was talking about this concept of quality listings. I wish there was a measure, like someone at the Toronto Real Estate Board, maybe, I don't know, me as a volunteer job, got to decide what was a quality listing and what wasn't. Quality listings are down. Listings in October, and this will be on my blog by the time you watch this video essentially, but listings in October, new listings were the second highest in any October. Quality listings are down. So as much as I'd love to show you really hot listings in this area, in every area, in Leaside, in the Beaches, in Danforth Village, and now Roncesvalles, I figured I'd rather look at properties that aren't listed low with an offer date because we want to see what list prices are like, but also give you a representation of just, you know, the pros and cons. Now, the next one is a great representation of pros and cons. And every time we go to this area, I have to say this thing that I don't like saying, which is that this particular house, which is, again, $1,498,000, 3-bed, 3-bath, beautiful Victorian, in family-friendly Roncesvalles, it falls into the Parkdale Public School District, and Parkdale is ranked a 2.6 out of 10 by the Fraser Institute. So in Roncesvalles, you have Fern, which is a great highly ranked public school, and then you have Galley, which is a great highly ranked public school. Then you have a house like this, and I'll show you exactly where it is on the map. We'll go to 14 Marion, and if you're asking, David, why didn't you do this beforehand and come prepared? Well, the market's busy, guys. We've moved 2 listings this week alone. We've put 2 buyers into new properties, and who said the market's slow? So back to the map here. And you can see this, to me, I recognize as the shape of Roncesvalles any days of the week, because you have this north-south artery, and then you have the train, which kind of makes like a cool diagonal shape, right? I swear I could close my eyes and I know exactly where we are. Then you have this grid here, which is sort of the, I don't want to say West Roncesvalles, but Roncesvalles runs north-south, as you can see. This says Parkdale, it's not. To Google Maps, it's Parkdale. This is more Parkdale to us. But once you get, this is Sororan here. Once you get on the east side of Sororan Avenue, let me zoom out, where this house is, you fall into that other school district, which is Parkdale. So let me zoom out a teeny tiny bit, guys, and then I'll just kind of zoom up here, and you can see where's the school, right? Here's the school. You've got Fern School over here, and then you've got Galley further down here. So there's a big difference in price for a lot of these houses based on that school district, and it's a shame because this is a really beautiful, albeit overpriced Victorian. This has no parking, but look, it's a semi-detached Victorian. It's got the extra bathroom, 3-bed, 3-bath, and this one's fully renovated. So if you're coming from the moon, let's say, and I show you this house here, and let's say for argument's sake, this is $1,399,000 because it should be. I show you this house and you go, all right, it's got some curb appeal because it's a Victorian, it's red brick, it's fully renovated inside, feels pretty spacious. We have a 3rd bathroom. Why is this not on the same price point? Or sorry, why is this not, can't even think today, guys. Why are the other houses inferior to this? What's wrong with this one? Well, it's the school district, right? And even though this is priced right now, as I said, substantially higher than those other houses, I still think they're a bit overpriced, and they're basing it on the renovation. But it's got this beautiful backyard. Yes, it's got a galley kitchen, but it's all brand new, and it's modernized. And then, you know, here's the backyard. It's a deep lot. Fantastic house. But again, if I'm going back to the concept of the proverbial family coming to Toronto, or they've always been here, and they're saying, hey, what are the great family neighborhoods that can offer us entry-level value? I hate to say that 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 is entry value. Yeah, we've done pick 5s before on, 2-bed, 2-bath houses, which is, entry-level freehold. Somewhere there's, the 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house with no basement. I think there was one of those written up in the media lately. But again, look at this bathroom. It's got the skylight. It's beautiful. But it's been on the market for a long time because it's not worth what they're asking. And then if you look at the family and what the family wants, well, the family, unfortunately, just doesn't want this school district. So $1,498,000, 40 days in the market. It has no parking. Basement's partly finished. We saw no photos of that. So we're going to make the assumption that it is probably not finished at all. So guys, those are the 5 properties I wanted to mention. And the conclusion, if you could draw one, is this. If you are looking for the entry-level family home, I always recommend you look at those 4 things. The schools, The infrastructure, that means your main drag, where are you walking to for coffee, or if you have to get in the car, if you drive, what's the big box like? The main drag, it's an 80s terminology, but let's say, where's the main drag? Is it Danforth, is it Bayview, is it Queen, is it Avenue Road, is it Yonge Street? Then I look at the parks and all of the green space, and then last but not least, I look at the transit. And so some people aren't going to be taking public transit. Okay, fine, maybe your kids will when they grow up. You're planting roots. Some people are completely car dependent. They don't care about walkability to Starbucks. Maybe. But in my experience through 20 years in this business, I think if you're looking for an entry-level home in a family area, those are the 4 things you want to target. These are 5 areas I recommend looking in, and I hope that you enjoyed going down that road with me. Guys, thank you so much for watching this week's Pick 5. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.